I could not stay quiet about this movie. This is Black Sea with Jude Law and other actors besides. As you can see, it's a rental here. I picked this up used for 56. It's a used-ception film because somebody who purchased this last had also purchased it used when a rental place was going out of business. I recognize this as Blockbuster sometimes has these as display cases, and behind them they would have the old classic Blockbuster case. I wonder if I have one that I could show you. I do. As you see here, this is House of the Dead. This is normally what the case looks like. They would put something like this behind something that says like this. So they would say, oh, this is the rental. They move it aside to see if there's one in there that they could pick up to rent. The Blockbuster cases are a lot thicker. They have one of those. This one does not. This is just a regular DVD case, as you can see. But this has the little crap here. It's got the logo. This is what they would use to rent them. But if they had any extra DVDs, they would put them in one of these. So you take it and rent it and get on out of there. Now that that's over and done with, let's talk about Black Sea. I just watched this, and I had a lot of things that I got angry about, at least in regards to how the story was written. It's fantastic, and it's tragic. Absolutely bloody tragic. We star Jude Law as a submarine salvage pilot. The company that he works for, I believe it says it on the back here. It does not, actually. Well, the company that he works for is the Agora Corporation. The Agora Corporation has decided that they're going to let him go. He's one of the best submarine pilots in the game, but they just don't need submarines anymore. There's no deep-sea salvage that they feel is lucrative enough. Or so they say. So they let poor Jude Law go. He's been working in the submarine business for over 30 years, 11 years with Agora, and a teen number of years with the Navy. He left the Navy from a disagreement, and now he's been fired from Agora. He's pretty down on his luck in need of a payday. He sacrificed everything to this job. His family, his child, everybody has left him because he sacrificed it all to work as hard as he could, because this is what he believed in doing. This is where he feels most at home. In the tub, in the water, doing the work. So, now that he's been let go, he's in need of a new fix. And his friend tells him that he has a job coming up. He knows of a Nazi submarine that went down in the Black Sea, carrying millions of gold. Millions of gold. 200 million worth of gold, in fact. This 200 million was lost with the sub that went down. Nobody ever found it again. Nobody, except this man has an idea of where it might be located. So he puts together a team of Russians and disgruntled other English-speaking former submarine crewmen that have all been let go at some point or another, either by the Navy or by any corporations that use submarines that they used to work for, particularly Agora. They have all come together to collect on this deal. They need a benefactor to supply them a sub and all sorts of other materials and resources to fill the sub with food and all that stuff. So they have a benefactor that says he wants 40% of the 200 million that they are salvaging from this Nazi ship, and the rest will be split evenly among the crew members roughly 10 people-ish. 10, 9 to 10, not 10, yes, 10 people. So, they get the crew together, they go down, and things start to go wrong one after the other. We have mainly 4 main characters, maybe 5. The other 5 are no-name people. We have one that mans the communications, the radar, the sonar. He's the sonar man. He sits there talking about the sonar. He speaks only Russian, so we need the people who can translate for him. Actually, it's 11 people, not 10. We have the translator man, who speaks both Russian and English, so he could translate between the Russians and the English. He basically acts as the co-pilot. He delivers the orders to everybody to make sure everybody understands the orders that the English-speaking Jude Law gives. He's the captain, the skipper. Then we have the cook man, who also works as an engineer. Everybody doubles up as something, And then we have a young kid who was a friend of Jude Law's friend who committed suicide. He brings the kid along because he wants him to get a better life for himself out of friendship with his now dead friend. Who else is here? We have a couple other Russians. There's another dude who's really quiet for most of the film, but then he starts speaking halfway through after the first interpreter co-pilot man dies. We find out that he also speaks English and Russian, and he becomes the new co-pilot, co-operator, whatever. He's the chart man. We'll call him the chart man. Who else? We have the cubicle man who sits at the desk talking about all the circles with all the bits and bots on them. There's another person sitting next to him who also talks about other bits and bots on their charts. Then we have the engine man who sits in the engine room and monitors the drivetrain, all that crap. I think I've gone over most everybody who's important. There are 4 people that I want to mention. We have him, the skipper. We have the young kid. We have Fraser. Fraser is a diver that they hired because they need somebody to go out there into the water to find the sub, after all. So he's a diver. And there's another diver who's a retired diver. He's pretty old. He's suffering from emphysema. He's old. Okay, and actually 5. And then we have Daniels. Poor Daniels. He works for the Agora Corporation. Or rather, he works for the benefactor who's supplying him, Jude Law, with some money, who is actually technically Agora. He is the banker man. I don't know why the banker man was asked to go on this trip with Jude Law and everybody. He has no submarine training. He has no farm of anything to go with here. He is a lost little duckling in a big tub at the bottom of the ocean, and he gets increasingly unnerved. This is not his element. He does not belong down here, and he ruins everything for Jude Law and everybody else. He gets everybody killed because he's so scared. I get it. I get claustrophobic and I hate the water too. I would hate being in this sub. If I was a banker, I would not want to go down here. But the banker's boss told him to go down here with Jude Law, and he cracks. And because he cracks, everybody dies. And the irony here is that they recovered roughly 183 million of the 200 million Nazi gold from that submarine that they found. Some of the gold bars fell off along the during transport, but 183 million is still a lot of money to be split evenly amongst the remaining 9 crew members, because we lost a couple along the way, sadly to say. However, because of our banker man cracking, he wants the submarine to go up. He wants the submarine to go directly up where there's a Russian navy waiting for them that have been tipped off by Agora to capture the sub and everybody on it, and while they're working through all the customs and stuff with Russia, the Agora Corporation is going to confiscate the gold secretly out of the submarine. So Agora gets to walk away with all the money, and Jude Law gets left with absolutely freaking nothing. And I can sympathize so strongly with Jude Law here. Holy crap, the Agora Corporation can go fudge itself. He can go make like a... You know, I hate the Agora Corporation. They represent everything wrong. Using people like poor Jude Law. People who know what they're doing, who have years and years of experience. They're just tools to the Agora Corporation. They don't even get any money out of it. He was already fired by Agora, but now Agora is using him to get another 180 million to be kept, and then he gets nothing. He gets nothing. He probably just gets prison time in the Russian prisons from sailing unlicensed in Russian waters or whatever. So needless to say, once Jude Law learns of this plan from the banker man, he decides that we're not going to go up. We're not going to go up and meet the Russian Navy and give them the gold. No, we're going to take this gold, and we're going to go sail through a very, very, very complicated ravine. Let's say the shallows. Let's say this is the shallows right here. The open water is around here. The sub is currently right here. We can either go up and meet the Russian military, or we can go through a very tight little cavern. A very tight little cavern. Jude Law thinks the sub can manage to go through here in the shallows. He thinks that we can go through the deep water trench here and sail out to the other side into Turkey's water. He thinks we could do this because the Russian Navy's not going to go into the Turkey's water space. So once they get to Turkey, they can surface and take the gold for themselves. And the submarine starts to go through here, and it's actually succeeding fairly well. We're navigating through here. The only person that starts to crack is the banker man. The banker man is the only one who thinks that they can't do this. The banker man is starting to crack more and more, and poor Fraser here. Poor Fraser is convinced by the banker man to kill the engine mechanic. He's convinced by the banker man to kill the engine mechanic, a guy vital to the operation of this sub. So, halfway through the trench, the banker man tells Fraser to kill the mechanic, and the mechanic dies, and suddenly the sub crashes into the wall of the cliff. There's no more power. It starts to fall. It's falling. It's falling. It hits the ocean floor at crushing depth. It's starting to press against the walls. The pressure is starting to push against the walls of the sub. It's only a matter of time. Each room is starting to flood, and the banker man locks the other remaining half of the crew behind in a sinking bulk room, just so he could save himself. But lo and behold, when he closed the bulkhead, his belt gets lodged in the door, and the only way he can get his belt out is by opening the door. But the water has already filled up in the room behind him, and water's starting to seep in through the cracks of this bulkhead, and he is pretty much dead. Just desserts. Goodbye, banker man. He can fucking rot. So, Jude Law, the young kid, and the bilingual Russian man are in the torpedo room with the gold. Jude Law tells the young kid and the bilingual Russian man to get into two of the three suits. How does one explain this to people who don't know submarines? I don't know submarines. Basically, let's say this is the surface of the water, this is the ocean floor, this is the sub. There are three suits that are kind of like rafts, life rafts suits. You go into the suit, little suits like this, whatever. So you're in the suit. You pull a little lever here, right? You pull a lever at the bottom of the ocean, suddenly the air fills the suit, and you rise to the surface. It's like a floaty. The suit is a floaty, an emergency floaty. You can rise up rapidly from a sunken sub. And whatever, so 2 people, the young kid and the bilingual Russian man, get to go up to the surface. Well, Jude Law stays behind. He can't leave. He can't go through the same way that the young kid and the bilingual Russian man, co-pilot, were able to escape with. So he takes the 3rd diving suit, the escape suit, and fills it with as much gold as he can. Roughly a couple million, maybe about 10 million's worth. He fills it up with 10 million of gold and sends that to the surface, so that the kid and the bilingual Russian man can at least split 5 million between one another and live relatively happy lives. But they're also going to actually give some of this gold to Jude Law's family, so probably they're not going to split it 50-50, they're going to split it 33-33-33, because, Jude Law's family and all that stuff. So they're going to send some of that gold to Jude Law's family. And they only get to have about 10 million of those gold bars. So roughly 173 million is stuck at the bottom of the ocean in this submarine because a scared little banker man didn't want to go through the technically. That banker man killed everybody in that sub. He was a scared little man. He didn't belong down here. The Agora Corporation made him come. The Agora Corporation basically fucked themselves when they made the banker man join the crew of this submarine. They should have picked somebody who had ocean-dwelling experience, not the banker man. The banker man did not belong on this trip, and the banker man ruined the whole thing. This is a fantastic movie. I loved it. I hate the banker man. But that's just the thing. Good written antagonists. The banker man's not a villain. He is an antagonist. Expertly, wonderfully written corporations and antagonists that make you want to hate them aren't badly written. They're really well written. If you can write something in and your readers or viewers hate that villain, then that's succeeding in what you wanted from the start, if that makes sense. This is a fantastic film, and I definitely recommend you watch it. If you could find it for 50 cents, get it. I found it for 50 cents. If you could find it streaming somewhere, probably watch it that way. It's worth it, though. It's definitely worth it. At least a single view. Jude Law delivers a fantastic performance. One for the books. If you can find this, please give it a view, because it is highly imaginative.